We saw her cash out every bit of her parlor at 7 days a week. We're like, why is this lady? And it's we're pre-launch, so it's at a half a penny. We're like, why is this lady selling all of her crypto and we haven't even launched? This is silly.
Yeah.
And so we did some research and we reached out to her. Come to find out, she's making $7 a day selling her crypto. Her monthly salary in the country she is in, it was like, she makes that like a week just selling her tokens.
Yeah.
We're like, now we know this is truly impactful. Now we know we're helping people.
Today's guest, Dan grew up with capital, he learned how to build it. Before blockchain, before infrastructure, before entrepreneurship, Billy Womack lived through consequences that forced him to take responsibility early. He has spoken openly about a period of his life that included time in jail, a chapter that became a turning point rather than a headline. Coming out of that moment, Billy didn't chase shortcuts, he chased structure. He worked multiple jobs, learned sales from the ground up, put himself in environments that demanded discipline, consistency, and accountability, because he understood firsthand what happens when those things are missing. When Billy later encountered Bitcoin long before mainstream adoption, it wasn't hype that caught his attention, it was systems. By his account, Billy has spoken about turning low five-figure capital, roughly 10 to 15,000, into seven-figure outcomes over time. Not through trading, but by focusing on infrastructure, nodes, and participation in blockchain ecosystems. Rather than guessing price movements, he leaned into earning through contribution and ownership of systems. He's also been clear that the numbers alone were never the point. What mattered was building repeatable, sustainable income models and surrounding himself with communities focused on long-term thinking instead of overnight wins. What makes Billy's story compelling isn't just growth, it's distance. The distance between poor decisions and intentional structure, between survival mode and the system thinking. This conversation isn't about hype or guarantees. It's about accountability, rebuilding, and what it takes to turn discipline into opportunity. Please welcome to the show, my good friend, Billy Womack.
Hey guys, Zero One, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, bro.
Scoot back just a little bit for you. There we go.
Sure, yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, so you're a very interesting character. Like, just being around you, I was just telling these guys before, I'm like, this guy has a lot of energy. I usually can be the energy in the room, but you were just, it was actually really cool hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And just seeing like, it takes a special personality to be in the field that you're in.
Yeah.
So I want to just...
Takes a lot of arrows, when you're an early adapter in anything, no matter what it is, whether it's blockchain, crypto, anything, you're going to get the arrows first and you just got to have that tough skin.
100%. And I want to dive into that.
You and fighting and everything else.
Oh yeah, of course. So before money or crypto, what did responsibility look like in your house growing up?
Oh, gee, I come from very, very humble beginnings, very humble beginnings. My parents worked a couple jobs apiece, and I think collectively they both maybe combined after working 2 or 3 jobs, maybe, I don't know the exact number. I want to say like 60,000 a year combined, working 2 or 3 jobs. So I didn't come from money whatsoever, no.
Right. So then I'm guessing that's what lit the fire in you, that you probably saw certain hardships coming up that you did not.
A lot of hardships.
A lot of hardships.
Yeah, and I said, there's got to be more to life than living paycheck to paycheck, always stress about money. And, just, now granted, when you don't know anything about money, we grew up in the country, and me and my brother, and basketball was my thing, sports, when you don't come from a lot of kids turn to either mischief or they turn to sports. There wasn't a lot of mischiefs we barely had people in my town.
Correct.
So it was sports for me. I played Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Jordan so many times in my backyard, it was unreal. So then that led into me having a full-ride basketball scholarship. And I played with Derek Fisher from the Lakers, Corliss Williamson from the Pistons. We played on the same basketball team. Yeah, so that was my dream, to play in NBA. Yeah.
So what was the turning point on that? Why not?
I blew out my knee in college. Yeah, so my second year in college, I had something called ADHD and dyslexia. And we'll talk about entrepreneurship, but those people that usually have ADHD and dyslexia, back in the 80s when I was going to school, they put me in remedial classes, and they said, listen, if you don't get a regular education, you're not going to get a regular diploma. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not stupid. But all the kids picked on me because I had to go to remedial classes. I couldn't see things straight. And here's a funny story about that. For those that have ADHD and dyslexia, You know, you look at Steve Jobs and some of the most brilliant minds. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs, but I'm saying here's something that finally clicked when it finally did click, that I wasn't stupid, because I was told I was stupid by certain people in the family and stuff like that for a while. And so my brothers were all they were all A and B students. I was barely a C minus student.
Sure.
Yeah, bro, I had to read something 50 times just to get barely a C minus in it. So I was not a academic scholar, if you will. Now, I did have a basketball scholarship,
Right.
but they had to put me in a JUCO college to go through there. And after college, blowing out my knee, I said, what am I going to do? You know, my identity was gone. That's all I ever wanted to do. So I took a Greyhound bus. Yeah, when you don't have money growing up
Right.
in the 80s. Actually, that was 1993. I took a Greyhound bus to, I was born in Florida. My mother remarried. I was in Arkansas, and I played college basketball, Arkansas and Oklahoma. I took a Greyhound bus from where we were living all the way from Fort Smith, Arkansas, Little Rock. And I went through something called MEPS to try to get in the Air Force. And they said, wow, all right. This is a crazy story. Actually, everything about me is crazy. Over the top, bro. But so I passed, and I just couldn't get in because I had cyst on my eardrum. So I had 2 surgeries on my left, 1 on my right. And I ended up going in, and they said, listen, if you don't go in now, you're not going to be able to get in, but you passed all the tests. I'm like, damn, I passed the test. That's the first test in my life I think I passed without cheating. So I went in and I went through basic training, 6 weeks long, and everybody's excited about, hey, where are we going for tech school? Because everybody's like, yeah, we're going to tech school. You get to hang out with the girls.
Yeah.
So everybody gets their envelopes of where they're going to tech school, and it was me and one other guy. There was probably like, I don't know, 35 of us that went through our squadron. And when they all got their envelopes, they're going here, and me and one other guy, we got red envelopes that said, step over here in this other office. I'm like, are we already getting kicked out? I mean, we just went through this. I thought I passed. They're like, you scored so high in your division of where you're going into, you're going to straight direct duty assignment, no tech school.
Wow.
And I was like, you mean I'm not stupid? They're like, far from stupid. You're going to most classified base with the most classified plane on planet Earth, the F-117 stealth bombers. So it goes to show you, no matter what people tell you, there's a lesson for you guys that have ADHD or dyslexia. It's just you don't know how to take the tests that are given to you, aren't the ones that you really know how to take.
Right.
And so, yeah, I ended up going top clearance. I had to go through 4 M16 checkpoints every day to get to work, and which was pretty cool as a 20-year-old kid.
Why'd you walk away from that job?
I didn't walk away. I did my 4 years,
Yeah.
and then after that, I was trying to get off that base. Everybody on there was leaving, coming back, or leaving in general. I got in it to travel, and after 4 years in the Air Force, I finally had orders to MacDill Air Force Base. I was leaving August 7th, 97 on my birthday, and then they got canceled a week before I left. I was like, you know what? Just get me out. Because I didn't want to stay another 4 years in that same base. If you've ever been to Alamogordo, New Mexico, there is nothing out there.
Right.
It's right beside White Sands Missile Range. So we had to drive 45 minutes just to go to a real mall or anything, an hour. And I was like, it's the middle of the desert out there. And so that's where they did, the sound barrier. That's where they tested the sound barrier for rockets and different things like that. So I was like, man, I'm ready to go. So I got out, and I got offers from Lockheed Martin and all these other places to go work. And I said, I think I just want to create my own income. And that's how I got into sales.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have, like, from what I've read, you've worked a lot of different jobs. You've stepped in a lot of different environments. Which one would you say humbled you the most?
Humbled me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So when we're gonna skip around then if you want me to say humbled. So so when I got out of the Air Force, I went into corporate America. I became the #2 salesman in the world my first year. Okay. So I went from making $11,000 a year in the Air Force to $110,000 my very first year out. And then from there, I did miscellaneous jobs, and then became an entrepreneur. And I guess we can go into the private parts that we were just talking about,
Right.
like a little bit about my personal life. Is I tried my very first drug at 27.
Right.
By 28, I had the second largest ecstasy lab ever in the state of Florida. So yeah, if I do something, I do it in a big scale. But that was the last time I do something illegal like that. You know, there's nothing out there worth. I see these orange bags right here, and I don't look good in orange. Boy, I tell you what, I may have pretty blue eyes, but this does not. It does not look good with orange on it. I tell you what. So yeah. So no, it was something where I just said, you know, I can't do this. So anyhow, the most humbling, to answer your question, was when I got in trouble. When I got in trouble, when I got out of jail, I took a job doing paint chip repairs in the middle of the summer in Florida, making like $50 a week. You want to talk about humbling? I used to make, you know, before that, 2 years before that, I was making $80,000 in a weekend with my nightclub, you know, and now I'm down to $50 a week. I was shopping at the dollar store, and I said, you know what? That's okay. I don't need the monetary stuff anymore. You know what I need? Just peace. And I just need to know I'm making a good living without looking over my shoulder and everything. But there's a lot of shit talkers in Tampa. A lot of people, and I'm sure that's with any city, you know, and most of those people were they were partying with me and stuff. And as soon as someone gets in trouble, they like to talk shit and talk about you and everything else. It is what it is, you know.
So at what age would you say, like you said, that you got to a point where you're just chasing peace instead
Here's
of what?
what? Peace?
Yeah.
When I got out of jail.
So after jail.
Yeah, I wasn't chasing. I was just letting it just come.
Right. Right.
Because I'll tell you, once when I was doing drugs and when I was in that short life of manufacturing, I was Breaking Bad before Breaking Bad
Oh, it
was.
sounds like it.
Yeah, and so when I was in that, doing that, it was so stressful. I was losing a lot of weight. I was looking over my shoulder, and it wasn't something. Oh, I'm going to get into this. It just kind of fell in my arm, you know, my lap one day, and that's another whole different podcast right there, or
Right.
show, because it was the people that taught me a little that I know was part of Sammy the Bull, part of John Gotti's Mafia thing. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that's a whole different show. But you know, I didn't know those guys. I was never part of any of that. I just happened to be around a guy that introduced me to a guy that just happened to be that guy,
Right.
and then I became that guy. And it was never
In
Trump.
Florida, this was
Huh?
in
In Florida.
In
So the guy, and I didn't even know who it was that taught me until the Homeland Security and DEA told me. So, yeah, that's never a good sign.
Right.
Never a good sign when you're told that you learned how to make ecstasy from the guy that was making it for the mafia. So, yeah, that was not a good thing. But the good news is I didn't know who he was. I never asked his name, never had his number. So there was none of that. Oh, go find this guy and turn on him.
Right.
I didn't even know who the guy was. Usually when they break up a lab, the DEA says, you know, usually when we break up a lab, there's people making 60 to 80 pills a week. How many pills were you making? I said, I don't know, like 15,000. So it was, yeah, it was not a good thing. And I learned my lesson 1,000,000% on that. And some people think it's glamorous to go out and do that. And you know what's glamorous to me is when you can empower people and you can help people, and you have peace. And you know, it's the older I get, the less around stuff like that I want to be around.
Right.
It's more about, hey, I just want to help people, not to tear lives apart. So that's a lesson you learn with age, and I think with the consequences that you had to face and deal with, which I did.
Right.
I served it, and now I serve something much bigger, which is helping our local. There's a charity here called Hope for the City, and
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on your stories that you were part of that.
yeah. So last year I had a dream come true. I donated $1 million
Wow.
to that charity. This year I'm donating a lot more than that to that charity, and 100% of that money goes back to feed family. I was just there last week, and what they do is the families locally, and we're going to take this globally too, where we can help local families. We can feed them, we give them clothing, we give them food, we give them essential stuff, because everybody's having hardships out there. The economy's not easy. Just because right now my family's doing well or your family's doing well, we drive literally 2 minutes down the road, there's at least 20 families over there that's not doing well. And I think God put me through a certain thing in my life because he knew I was going to turn back around and help other people. And I'm very, very, very thankful for that, for sure.
It's crazy. So this kind of goes into a two-part thing. So before success, what were you really chasing? Freedom, validation, or escape? Because it sounds like it's changed now.
Yeah. So repeat the question.
So before success, what were you really chasing? Freedom, validation, or escape?
I think well, before that, I was chasing, all I ever wanted to do was play in the NBA.
Right.
So I played with Derek Fisher, like I said, and Corliss and those guys. Matter of fact, I just talked to Corliss about 6 months ago. He won his championship. These guys won theirs, but that was the only thing I knew. That was the only thing I really wanted to do. I was actually got invited to run for the Junior Olympics for track as well. And I gave that up to do my basketball scholarship. So it's funny when I show people, and I'll get you these articles so you can kind of tag them in as posts and stuff,
100%.
but with the same articles and stuff. But after that, I was chasing, when I got out of trouble, I just wanted peace. Then it went from, I just want peace, I don't care how much money I make, to like, all right, it's okay to make money. Then I got to the point where now I want to make money, a lot of money, so I can give back a lot of money. So there's phases in your life, and there's this troll I have in Tampa. His name's Ryan. I'll just say his name. Hey, Ryan, I know you're watching this, so keep trolling, buddy. He came to one of my pages. He's my #1 hater, so I just love this guy because he's a big joke. But and I don't usually clown on people, but he made a point to come to my page the other day and just really try to rip me up. And a lot of my people came in, and people like him said, I've known this guy for 20 years. No, you knew me 20 years ago for a very brief second, but you haven't known me in 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, if you think you knew me 20 years ago, you definitely don't know me now. And I tell anybody I mentor right now, which is, I got 15,000 clients. I say, you should be learning and growing every single week. You should always be getting up saying, how can I improve myself with self-development? Impact a community. How can I do that? So these people that think they knew me from Tampa, they don't know me. They haven't known me. I've been in Vegas for 6 years, and before that, they didn't even know me because I was already changing. And it's not to say I'm better than anybody. It's just saying I seek to really impact a lot more than the average person, because I feel like God gave me a second opportunity. There's a big difference. Thinking you're better than somebody or thinking you deserve to help more people, there's a big difference. And that's where I felt that was what God gave me, was a second chance. And not to bring, religion into this or faith or anything else, but I'm a man of faith, and I know you are as well. But that's what I felt like he did for me, was he gave me that second chance where I didn't spend 17 years in jail. Because I gave up my own lab. They didn't find me with my lab. They only found me with 100 pills, and I gave up what I was doing in return.
How long did you spend?
I did 10 months in jail.
10? But it's supposed to be 17 years?
Well, they didn't, no, it wasn't. If they would have found my lab, it would have been. They didn't ever find it. I gave it up. Yeah, so then they put it all over the Kingpin of Florida. I'm like, I gave you the lab. You didn't find it. You didn't prosecute me with it. So I had something called a proffer. So I signed a proffer, and I said, I give you the lab. In return, you can't charge me for what I'm going to give you.
Oh, crazy.
And so they never did, which was great. And that was a lesson as well. But these days now, like, I just like finding good people like yourself that really want to help and educate and teach people that, listen, life's got all kinds of curveballs, and it's not easy. It's not an easy life. Just like you fight, I fought on the basketball court, you fight in the ring, and everybody fights with their bills, with their family. But at the end of the day, you got to find what drives your peace and what drives you mentally. And for me, I enjoy going out and helping people in the blockchain space, because now I'm empowering them, I'm teaching them, and I'm helping their families get out of poverty and putting them on that next level.
Right. That's great. No. So would you say you found your faith when you were?
Oh, no, I grew up in the church. So I got baptized when I was 12 years old. So I've always been around it. Now I drifted away. But I was very, very, I had a lot of time to think about it when I was in jail. And when you don't know, like, I didn't have my...
Because you were in there thinking you're in there for 17 years.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I didn't have my court date. So I went 10 months without... I had time served when I finally got to court. but they went from county to county to county, and I didn't, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen. So it was very scary.
So what's a day one to a few months? Like, so, like, what's a day one in there?
Oh
Yo,
Lord, when you've never been in trouble,
like when you never been there.
no, it was scary as hell. You know, I'm working on 2 different groups right now that I'm working on to going back, and actually I've got one book that I co-authored. I got another book I completely wrote that I'm redoing, and now I've got a very you've heard of Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
So Oliver Stone out in Hollywood, we're moving his blockchain onto our blockchain.
Oh, no.
You're going to be able to crowd fund what you see my wallet a while ago.
Yeah.
So those tokens I have in there, we're going to be able to crowd fund and actually fund major Hollywood movies on our platform. And Oliver Stone's team, they've agreed to take on my life story, either putting it into a movie, because we haven't got into my whole story or
Right.
everything, but going from where I was to where I am now, it's kind of a crazy story. All the things that's happened. I've been stabbed. I've been kidnapped. I've had a lot of stuff go on in my life. But when you push life to the edge,
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's exciting. It's fun, but it can also bring a lot of crazy stories along the way here.
Right. Right.
Oops, sorry. I just knocked that off here. There we go. Can you guys still hear me? Oh, I think I hit the button. Test. Okay. Sorry. So I've had a lot. What was that question again?
Just like you finding your faith.
Yeah. Oh, my faith. Yeah. So I grew up with that, but it definitely got a little much stronger when I was incarcerated, for sure.
So, okay, so let's jump into the crypto space now. So it seems like you obviously have a very unique personality. Do you think it takes a certain personality to be in that space?
I think it takes
Because
a
it's like
very,
the
I
Wild
think
Wild
it takes a
West,
very
yeah.
A+ person to lead in that space. But I teach stay-at-home mothers. You know, when you buy software nodes, which is what I teach people how to
Right.
buy.
So let's dive into that. Yeah. So what your thing is compared to, like, a lot of people that are gonna be listening to this are gonna think about meme coins, are gonna think about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That is not what you do. You almost seem like you're the picks and shovels guy. Like, kind of.
I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars in this space. I've never bought crypto and I'm trade crypto.
That's what I was gonna ask you. So do you own any crypto?
I do of ours.
Okay, of yours.
What I mean, talking about, no, I don't buy any Bitcoin. I don't buy any Ethereum.
Yeah, because
Wow, you've already missed the bubble on those. People are like, but why aren't you owning Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Bitcoin's this. I was like, for Bitcoin to go make a 5x, a 10x, what's it have to go to? 500,000, $1 million bucks.
Yeah.
For my project right here that we're launching right now, for it to make a 5x, I did a 100%. I did a double. Matter of fact, just 3 weeks ago. For Bitcoin to double, you know what it has to go to? I did that last week alone. And I have 14 different blockchains I support. When I say support, I own software nodes for. I've been there from the very beginning of these blockchains. I've helped launch them. I've helped do software sales for them. So I'm probably I know I'm pretty positive about this when I say it. A lot of people call me the #1 node consultant in the world. And the reason I say that is I started with 11 software nodes with a company called Gala Games with Snoop, Stevie
I used to have Gala Games.
Yeah. We talked about that. Yeah. And so I started with 11 nodes. I made 12 million bucks. And I still make money with that project, which is great. But now I own 5,000 nodes across 14 different brands.
Okay.
So now I've kind of, instead of 11, that's a lot of freaking nodes.
So for somebody listening to this, like, a lot of people get dived into meme coins. They want to get rich overnight and all that stuff. Your whole structure is completely different.
Yeah. So
When-
here's a hardware miner. This is a cell phone, but I'm using this for an analogy.
Yeah.
If you plug this physical miner into the platform, this is how I made Bitcoin. And I was in record. I should have bought it if I would have known. I would set it right there. Have this miner I got. It's an S5 miner. I plug it in the network. It would confirm transactions on the blockchain. In return, I got Bitcoin.
Right.
Now, instead of doing hardware, I do that with software.
Right. That's the transactions you're getting a piece of.
Yep.
Your
So think of us like the merchant processor, just exactly like that. We are the merchant processor for that particular blockchain.
Yeah.
So every time someone buys something, sells something, moves something, sells their crypto, buys some crypto, any kind of transaction on the block, there's a fee.
So that's the gas fees, like Ethereum gas fees and
Yep,
all that.
but it's our own fee, right?
Okay.
Because we are our own layer one blockchain.
Gotcha.
So this particular blockchain I'm on right now, we've got about $100 million into that deal.
Okay.
And so these are not cheap things to get set up. It's taken over a year. We have a massive legal team. We have a massive infrastructure, but on average, it takes me anywhere from 2 to 4 years to launch a good blockchain. And there's some great ones out there, but we've got blockchains in agriculture. We've got them in gold and precious metals. We've got them in banking. We've got them in social media, the one that I'm working on now with Parlor. So there's a lot of different types of blockchains out there. But yeah, I love this industry. I've been in it now going on February will be 12 years full time.
And so how has it changed from the time that you first entered it to what it looks like now?
Well, now
Do you see it?
yeah, right now it's mainstream media. I mean, mainstream.
Yeah.
Back then, we were cowboys and Indians. It was the wild, wild west.
Do you still feel like it's that?
No.
No?
I mean, when you've
More
got
legality?
people like the president talking about moving everything into crypto, back then nobody wanted to hear about
Right.
the crypto. Back then, they're like, "Oh, it's a scam." Especially my hater Ryan. I'll keep meeting him.
Gotta make sure you're taking this episode.
Yeah, that's only he's kind of funny because somebody that I haven't talked to in like 15 years pops up back on my social media the other day and just chirps, and I just start laughing. I'm like, is your life really that boring that you really want to pick on somebody that really went from here to there? And
Right. Well, that's usually what it is. It's a reflection of insecurity.
Yeah,
Especially when it goes.
there's a lot of insecurities. Yeah,
That's usually where it comes from.
yeah, and the thing is, I never did anything to the guy, but I think it seems because he felt like he was here. I was here. I went to jail, lost everything, and then now I'm here, and he's still right there. And he twerks around and talks all the smack about me. But here's the thing: I pray for him. One day, I hope that his life gets better and a little bit more entertainment into it. But I mean, I'm pretty entertaining. So I mean, you can follow me.
No,
You follow me on social media.
You definitely are entertaining. You're gonna get a lot more out of it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely when you come down to like the haters, it's always an insecurity thing. I think anybody that reaches a certain level and people that it's always the people you start with.
Yeah.
The people in the same area.
Yeah, because out here, I don't think I have maybe one. I don't even really have haters because everybody out here in Vegas is such a different vibe. Because people out here want to see you win.
Yeah.
Like, how do we win together?
Yeah.
Back in Tampa, there was a lot of haters actually.
There's haters everywhere.
Yeah.
There's haters in my town.
Yeah. But I don't see that many of them. I mean, there may be a couple chirpers here, but not really. I mean, for the most part, they're like, Billy, hey, how do we win, Billy? Or if a project, here's the biggest thing: when a project doesn't hit when in the time frame they feel like it is, then you're a scammer.
Right.
Then they're like, oh man, you're a scammer. This thing is taking 2 years. I just want my money back. I was like, that's not how it works. If you put your money, you buy a software, that software has a responsibility. It goes to work for you every day. It's putting those rewards in your wallet. You're getting something out of it.
Gotcha.
It may not be what you want at this moment. You may want to be here, but that's not how business works.
Right.
It's not about on the timetable you want it to happen to. It will happen though. It's just not on me. I'm like, it's going to happen on God's side. When it happens, it happens. So,
but the thing about yours is it's working every day. So it's creating something. It's like a machine.
oh yeah. I get paid every day. I showed you my wallet right now. I get paid thousands with
his wallet. Oh, let's hear it, man. His wallet looks real.
Yeah, it's definitely yeah. I'm not going to go starving anytime soon. And that's that's the thing is I try to help people though too. It's not about me with my ego or anything else like that. It's like when you can give away $1 million of your own cash to help other family, that wasn't for showmanship. It wasn't on the news or any of that other stuff. It was truly, I was heartfelt about what these guys were doing. They don't touch any of the money. I said, who was your biggest donor? They said Shaq for 100 grand. I said, all right, I'll do $1 million then.
Yeah.
Felt good. I know Shaq does that amount 1,000 companies.
Right.
So, but that was my little one up, not towards Shaq, but I was like, all right. But it was good. It was a good charity and it's a good thing. And they're still striving and they're doing some really big. Matter of fact, that Hope for the City, if you go to Hope for the City on Instagram, you'll see them at the 250-year anniversary for America at the White House when UFC is fighting there. They're going to be talking about Hope for the City and they're gonna allow us to speak there. So that's really, really cool. So to be a part of something that's growing that fast, then to help them expand internationally. I mean, tie yourself to something that you really get joy out of. And to me, blockchain is joy because I get to watch it. I have grown men calling me crying.
So your portfolio, if you can do even 1% of that, I'll cry. I'll even cry on the phone with you.
Well, I could definitely teach you how to make good money doing that. I don't like to talk about it on camera, but
Of course.
I've helped. I mean, in the next 6 months, I'll create over 250 millionaires just in the next 6 months.
Right.
You know, this right here, this was the other day. I'll just show you this real quick. I'm sure. Oh goodness, hold on one second here. I go ahead and I'll show you this. This was the other night when we had a meeting here in Vegas, and this is what they.
Speaking of NBA, we just had a world peace just walk in too from the Lakers.
Who is that?
Had a world peace from the Lakers.
Oh, I can't even see that far over there. I'm blind. I must have did it over. I'll give it. I'll show it to you a little bit later.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
So one thing I want to ask you is that you obviously are trying to help build people's wealth in this and stuff. But there's obviously there's a lot of crypto influencers or scamming and stuff.
oh yeah, ton of those.
Where did they do the most damage in this space?
Crypto scammers.
Yeah,
They do the biggest damage because, you know, there's really a lot of good people out there trying really, really hard to help their families.
Right.
And these people come in and they're just, you know, there's just a lot of people that like to take shortcuts. And I was part of, like, when I say I was a victim of this when I first got started. I got scammed 3 different times, and that's never a good feeling. And that was part of the reasons. The reason I became such a big um, um, mentor in this space was because when I made my first 10 or 11 million dollars in this space, I looked around and none of my friends could. I thought I was going to feel a certain different way, like,
right.
man. And all of a sudden, the next day after I cried and my Bentley shows up. You seen my Bentley?
Yeah.
Oh, you rode my Bentley.
Yeah, I wrote it. But
Yeah. And so what happened was none of my friends, they had to get up and go to work every day. I was like, hey, let's fly to Italy. Let's go here. And they're like, yeah, we can't. I'm like, well, this sucks.
Right.
What good is it for you to be rich if none of your friends can go and travel with you and be with you?
Wanted to start bringing everybody up with.
So I flipped my hat around backwards and said, let's go to work. And sure enough, now I've got 15 plus thousand clients I've mentored. Over 250 people become millionaires, brand new millionaires, never been millionaires, just the next couple months doing the space. So to me, and we're going to be doing a lot of these interviews and stuff like that too with every one of them. Matter of fact, I just started creating my own wine too.
No way.
Yeah. So I got my own wine coming out. It's another little thing.
There you go.
And the only people that's going to get a bottle of that wine are people that's made $1 million or more with me.
So you're doing like these passion projects, like, you know, you're just kind of living.
Yeah.
You're just kind of living it the way you want it.
I mean, I wake up whenever I wake up. I don't set any appointments for 9 a.m. So I usually go to bed between 11 and
home at 9 a.m.
Do I?
You even come home the night before 9 a.m.
That's another Hope podcast right there. It's another Hope
What I
podcast.
remember, I was like, oh, where's Billy? They're like, dude, he's still in the same spot. You left him at 3. I'm like,
wait, we left at Live, right? Were we at Live?
yeah.
Or did we go
It was experiment. And then you sent me a picture. You sent Teray a picture of Rampage because you got Rampage after you.
Oh, Rampage. That job. So me and Rampage Jackson, you know Rampage. Rampage is a very good friend of mine.
Right.
And yeah, Rampage's like, B, where you at? I was like, such and such spot. He goes, don't move. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Rampage pulls in there. It's like, that's Rampage Jackson. I was like, that's my boy. And so me and Rampage, yeah, we're actually going to Asia together this next year, doing a trip over
Yeah,
there.
that's where he gets in the most trouble.
Yeah, that's right here. So that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a good time over there.
I fight it.
Shout out to Rampage.
I fight out of Singapore out there, so I'm always in Asia.
All right, listen, I'll go over there with you. I'd jump on a flight anytime. I love going to Dubai. Dubai is beautiful. I haven't been to Singapore yet, so I'm ready to go over there.
Yeah, I'm going to Dubai in 2 weeks, Singapore in 3 months.
To fight?
I'm gonna go train in Dubai.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a guy who's getting ready for a big UFC fight.
Okay.
And the guy he's fighting is a very similar style to me. We're just talking, so
Like, you know, I have another company over there. They flew me to Dubai to speak and stuff, and they wanted me to actually bring a lot of my fighters like Rampage and a lot of the UFC guys
right.
over there when I was doing like Rampage and Rashad, when I was trying to put that fight together. And there's a guy named Gary who stole all my money.
I'm Gary.
I know, different Gary, different Gary, different Gary. That's all right. He's getting a knock on his door pretty
There
soon
we
by
go. All right.
the federal agents. Yeah, he stole that money. And so Rampage and Rashad couldn't even fight, and I put up the money for that. But I met a lot of good people in Dubai, and they really wanted me to take a lot of that stuff over there to do that.
There's a lot of crypto stuff in Dubai.
Huge.
I remember when I was there 4 years ago and the NFT craze was going on.
Yeah.
So we stayed at the Five Palms, which is like where the tourist,
I've been there. Yeah.
and so you walk out and I'll go for a run every day and there'll be these young guys sitting there and they were just trading Bored Apes back and forth.
Yeah.
Where I thought when I would walk out there, I would see like, some rich old Russians, something like that. But it was all young dudes like between their 20s to 40s.
Real fortune.
And making a fortune, just trading back and forth. And then they would just set up bottle service there the whole day in front of that pool. And they did this every day during that thing. I'm like, it's a whole different landscape changing with the crypto world, with the NFT world. And
I tell people I had about $2.5–3 million worth of just NFTs.
wow.
And those NFTs collectively right now are probably worth 30 grand,
30
if
grand.
that.
Yeah.
I just said, you know what?
Do you think that wave comes back?
There's NFTs like the apes, in my opinion, those things have no utility unless they have utility. Like I have a couple NFTs for the Captain's Club in Miami at 11. Have you ever heard of 11? Yeah. So Gino Pinto's a good buddy of mine down at 11.
Yeah.
And Gino, and they put together a great NFT package. If you own their Captain's Club NFT, you and 5 friends get no waiting in line to get 11. Which
There's
that is
utility to it.
yeah, there's utility.
Right.
And then you also got, I have a hoodie like this for the captains. They give you swag. They gave you discounts on the bottle. So those are
Right,
utilities.
utilities,
That
okay.
has something to it.
Right.
But when you're just talking about apes that do nothing,
Right.
that's garbage. That's why I teach people about the software nodes, because the software nodes actually confirm the transactions. You're able to, like Parler, the social media platform that we're launching right now.
Yeah.
It's the first ever social media platform. If you sign up for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they own your data.
Sure.
On Parler, you own your own data.
Right.
And when you come on there and people like, share, and comment, matter of fact, you can take this content, put over there. When people like, share, and comment, you're actually earning our token.
Gotcha.
Free of charge. It doesn't cost you. And then we'll tell you, we brought Kevin Harrington in. Kevin and I have been friends for 25 years out of St. Pete. That you can take, Kevin's uploading 100,000 merchants to our platform.
Right.
We just did a recent partnership with sports.com, Reebok, Holy Deeds has the contract with the Vatican. There's the biggest employer in the world. It starts with a W. I can't say the name, but it's something like that.
All right.
We just did a partnership with them. So we have a lot of really cool partnerships that we're doing right now. But it's those are the really cool things because that has utility. But when you're talking just a token that does nothing, like, there's a ton of them out there.
Right.
But I just teach people how to drive real value with that.
So somebody that's like you said, the economy is it's pretty unstable right now. People are trying to find their way out of these holes and trying to get to. How much would like a normal person need to invest into a node project, or is there really no minimum?
There's no minimum. I've helped people. I had this one girl. I have this one girl right now in Mobile, Alabama. She saved up for 3 months. She bought one node in 3 months.
For how much is one node?
$1,000. Okay. She was a cashier at a grocery store. And there's plenty of examples just like this. But I've got another guy just texted me 20 minutes ago. He wants to start with 50,000. Got another guy that just called me 2 weeks ago, starting with $2 million. So I've got people with 2 million, 50,000, 1,000. It doesn't matter. But when you say, how much does it take to impact, or how much would it take to change somebody's life?
Yeah.
We've got a lady right now from, I want to say, goodness, I don't know the country. We saw her cash out every bit of her Parler at 7 days a week. We're like, why is this lady? And it's we're pre-launch, so it's at a half a penny. We're like, why is this lady selling all of her crypto and we haven't even launched? This is silly.
Yeah.
And so we did some research and we reached out to her. Come to find out, she's making $7 a day selling her crypto. Her monthly salary in the country she is in, it was like, she makes that in like a week just selling her tokens.
Yeah.
We're like, now we know this is truly impactful. Now we know we're helping people. For every 1,000 I put into the Gala project, I made $1 million back. Now I can't guarantee anybody anything like that,
Right.
but I can tell you,
Was that during peak bull run time?
no, that was before.
That was before.
Yeah, that was before. And so I tell people, if you've got $1,000, which is a depreciating asset when you talk US dollar, and you've got a really cool blockchain project that's getting ready to take off, why would you not move it over here and make that run an emerging market project? And so that's what I try to teach people is I've got a blockchain. One of the coolest blockchain on top of our social media blockchain is where we did a co-op. I don't want to say we, the people I partnered up with, they get all the local farmers. You're in the health, you care about what's in your body. They took all these, I think they got like 15 farmers, they co-op all these farmers, and then they go from farm to table with your food. But the blockchain, it's all on the blockchain. And then the really cool part is when you order your meat from there, you can only pay for that meat using our token. And when you get that meat, you can scan it just like this right here and tell you the day that cow was born, everything it's ever ate, the day it died, every single thing. So you can't do that with Walmart. Matter of fact, they just got a partnership with Walmart to do stuff with Walmart. Walmart gave them like a big check, like millions and millions and millions of dollars to do a partnership there. Costco has just been out to the farm. So we're moving into that era where whether people don't know it or not.
Right.
And I tell people, you asked me a question earlier, and I tell people this all the time. If you think that blockchain is not impacting your life, you're sadly mistaken. It is impacting every single piece of our life right now. And the sooner you go home and you go to your computer and Google blockchain FedEx, blockchain Mercedes, blockchain your food, blockchain any industry you're in, and see that they're already doing it. And if you're not doing it, you're already 5 years behind. So I tell people, even in sports, you know, we're working on a big sports deal right now. You know, my good buddy, Sean Merriam. Yeah, Sean's a good buddy of mine. Played for the Chargers. Now he's got his own fight league. And Sean and I are working on some stuff. And I mean, I've got a lot of people that hit me up knowing how big I am in this space. Like, how do we take our industry and how do we implement that on your blockchain or one of your blockchains that you work on?
That's amazing, man. Yeah, it's like you really are all hands in so many different places. So it's not
everything. It's not just one industry. Right now, I've got 14 different industries, and it's growing. Now we're doing the movies, and now we're going to be a streaming platform, and now we've got this and this and that. So it's so exciting because it's never more. As somebody that's ADHD, it's like most people just focus on one thing. I get so bored with one thing, and I have to go. Hence a couple places we've hung out at. I gotta have multiple.
So what part of your story feels unfinished right now? It seems like you started from the bottom, now you're top.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
And now we're here. Crypto space, taking over that, helping so many people, trying to bring others up with you. What feels unfinished at this?
Me and the nonprofit I'm partnered up with called Hope for the City right here in Vegas is hopeforthecity.org. We want to feed 100 million people. So we want to help people, and I want to help over 1 million plus people become millionaires so they can go out and return that favor and get their families out of poverty and help them. My job will never be done. I used to think, man, when I hit 50, I'm gonna be retired. I have plenty of money to retire. I can retire. You know, I ask people all the time, what would it take for you to retire financially? And I used to tell people when I had no money, 10 million bucks. When I make 10 million bucks, I'm done. I could put so much in a real estate deal or this deal. And I mean, when you start making $1 million a day, which is something else very soon, some of the people in my circle, I'll put it that way. I don't like to, but when you start making big money like that, then it's never about money anymore. You become numb to the numbers and you say, all right, how do we impact? What is it that drives you? And it used to be money, but when you have the fancy car, which I have, and all this other kind of stuff, it's not about that anymore. You become numb to that. You're like, all right, how can we impact lives here? How can we change lives to me, that's exciting. I know that makes a difference for you too.
Oh, of course. Plus, I have a family now. It's not just me riding solo anymore.
Right.
And definitely, like every day you wake up trying to put everybody around you in a better spot. And that's
Yeah.
the whole goal.
I mean, that's what I love. I mean, I've got people that I would think that they had a lot more money than they come to me, and there's I could probably say in the last 2 months, grown men just call me crying and say, "Hey, man, thank you so much for what you've done for me and my family." Women, single, I've got a couple. I probably shouldn't say this on film. I've got some ladies that are in relationships, and they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to get out of this relationship. I've got some spending money from that their
Yeah.
partner, and said, hey, I need to get some nodes to get out of this." And I've got some people that call me from battered situations. There's always somebody coming and DMing me on my Instagram page and saying, "Hey, I don't like when they say give me money. I don't do that crap." But they'll say, "Hey, I'm in this situation. Teach me how to get out of this space. Teach me this." And then I'm like, "All right, yeah, let me help you."
So, what would you say to somebody that has been scammed in this in this space? So, like I'll speak for myself. I have been screwed over about 3 times in the space.
Yep.
So I left a bad case. So like I always wanted to be in it, as I still do. And like, what would you say to somebody like, give it one more chance? Like, what is it? Is it like I'm not saying I got scammed in like Bitcoin, but like there's ways to get scammed in this space without leaving any traces.
Yep.
Which is where I always kind of went back to stocks because it was SEC regulated and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, I would love to have a story such as yours. I would love
Yeah.
to give it a chance. I would love to go into it. What would you say to those people? Like,
I would say, listen, I've been scammed too. But when you have a burning desire to get on the other side, you're going to take the risk.
sure, take the risk.
How many people come to a country and they're like, "Listen, I'm going to take the risk of coming across the Rio Grande. I'm going to take the risk of coming across the ocean."
That's all my parents got here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when the risk of doing it, but you start small, take baby steps and find a mentor, somebody that is reputable.
You think that's the biggest thing? Is
I 100%.
not kind of out there just YouTubing and writing this.
YouTubing is the worst way because there's a million different YouTube telling you a million different
influencers.
ways.
Right.
You've got to find somebody. If it's blockchain, if it's not me, find somebody else. Like I can't mentor everybody anyway, so it's not about that. But I've been in this space for 12 years. I've never screwed anybody in this space. And I tell them all the time is find something that's going to pay you every day. And also, if you're getting into crypto, one of the biggest tips I can tell anybody is if you put money into a wallet, make sure you have a 12-word seed phrase.
Right.
The first couple times I got screwed was I put money onto a platform and there was no 12-word seed phrase, but you don't know what you don't know.
Okay.
And that's one of the very first things I teach people is you have to become your own responsibility in your own bank, not bank, but have accountability of your own account.
Right.
And having your own account, having your own 12-word seed phrase is the biggest part of that. But it's not always safe. I mean, and when I say it's not always safe, what are you doing with your login? Are you clicking on different
Different little
links and different things like that? Stay off that dirty stuff. You may get you pulled in, but there's all kinds of different ways that people get screwed out of stuff. But on the for real side is find somebody that makes the kind of money you want to make and that has legitimacy, and just say, "Hey, listen, if you can't help me, point me in the direction of somebody that can."
Right.
I mean, UFC, fighting, you have a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yeah.
I had a coach when I got into this, a mentor when I got into this. I would have never, when I met this guy, he was worth $100 million plus. And I said, "You're full of shit. I don't know anybody worth that kind of money." And he was. But I started flying around on this jet and I said, "You can't get rid of me."
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get to this next level. And this year I'll make a lot more than what he was worth at that time. And it's very exciting, but it's also, I take that with responsibility. I every single day I'm trying to help somebody and I stay right here when I say not the bottom, but at the beginning, because that's where it starts. And I don't want to say anybody's at the bottom, but there's a lot of people that feel that they're at their bottom. They feel like they're in the last leg. I had 3 calls today alone from people that is really frustrated and depressed and a lot of stuff going on. And I tell them, listen, I started with 11K and I made 12 million. Go get a line of credit. Go get this. If I don't have this, guess what? I have a lady right now in Tampa, and she's a sweetheart. She posted something the other day, and she goes, "Me and my kids just went so." And I told her this. I said, "Here's what some families do when they're broke. Christmas is coming up. They say, well, I've got to go buy $200 worth of stuff, $300 worth of stuff for my kids because it's Christmas." I said, "Let me tell you how I've been mentored about stuff like that. You have a family meeting. You sit down with your family. You say, listen, the next 3 months, 6 months, it's going to be really tight, but we're going to do this as a family. Then you say, listen, now that we're going to do this as a family, we're going to have sacrifices. I may not be able to get you this on your birthday or this trip or this present, but at the end of the 6 months, when mom and dad hit our goals, let's all take that goal and let's go do something together.
Right.
You want this? You want to go to Disney? We're going to go to Disney. What each kid say, what is it you want to do at the end of the 6 months, 12 months, whatever that sacrifice in time is, and then reward them so they learn really the responsibility of sacrifice, giving up, and goals and all as a young kid. You start teaching them the right ways instead of go get them gifts that don't mean really anything. It's just to buy them stuff to put on the Christmas tree. Teach them life early on and then teach them those responsibilities that come along with it. And they will value that right there more than anything else growing up. But parents feel like, oh no, I have to go buy them a gift. You don't have to give them a gift. What you have to do is grow up and start learning the right ways of taking care of. And I'm trying to tell people they can't take care of the kids, but I'm saying the right way to get their kids taken off in the right way is what I'm trying to say.
No, that's amazing. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Because if you reward your kids and say, let's go do something as a family, you teach them that way, I think, man, that's an awesome thing. My parents didn't know that kind of stuff to teach me that stuff. So that's something I've done with my daughter, and now we do with my grandchildren and stuff like that. Damn, it sounds weird to say that. Gee, I'm getting old. Getting old out there. That's all right. I love it. Yeah.
All right. So I want to end on this. I want to end on, if you were to go back and talk to that guy, the kid version of you,
Yep.
the guy sitting in jail thinking life's about to go sideways.
Yep.
And here you are sitting now.
Yep.
What are you saying to those guys?
Damn, bro. I was going to say something smart ass, but that's a great question. No, for real, you know what? Don't wear your feelings on your sleeves. I mean, life is tough enough. Just chalk it up, and there's going to be ups and downs, but the really cool part is smile along the way, because God's not going to give you something you can't handle. You know, so many days I wake up and I'm just so thankful. And and here's something I wish I would have did earlier on is every day, if you just say, I'm trying to think of 3 things you're thankful for and journal them at the end of the day and say, man, I'm thankful. Number 1, I woke up. Every day above ground is a blessing, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I lost over 20 something people in 2 years span when I was in Tampa moving out here. And that was really tough. But any day above ground is a great day. If you got food to eat, that's a blessing. Excuse me. There's so many things to be thankful for. So number 1, just be grateful, thankful. Number 2, you're gonna make it when your timing is right. Number 1, just really absorb yourself in personal development, because your life is draining. Everybody's life is draining. It's like a cell phone. If you don't charge this thing, just like if you don't charge your brain mentally, you're just going to be worn out. So I tell people, pick up, if you're not a reader, I'm not, because I'm dyslexic.
Right.
I do audible books and just listen and recharge. You get you excited, get you motivated. Go to, if you're a spiritual guy like me and you, go to a church or go to whatever it is that that kind of lifts you up. Go help people, impact people. Go to a nonprofit and help somebody, because there's no better feeling in the world when somebody doesn't have what you have and you're already helping them, and that gratitude that they're giving you. That's probably one of the best feelings in the world. But little things like that, when I tell people all the time, those 1 degrees that you do, that 1 degree, then that 1 degree, and that 1 degree. Next thing you know, you're 5, just like Kobe talks about the Mamba mentality.
100%.
If you take those 1%, 1%, 1%, next thing you know, you're 10 to 20% away from the average person, because you keep doing those 1% things. And I think a lot of people try to take shortcuts, just like I did when I got in trouble. And I tell people, put in the fucking work. You've put in the work. That's why you are where you are. I've put in the work. I've given up birthdays, holidays, everything, because when they called me, they needed things, and I put on the work. But guess what? One day I got a multi-million dollar contract for putting in the work. And to me, that at the end of the day, then you know all that work's done, and then you stroke a check to even give. After you make the money, you're giving it back, and you see. I was at this event a couple of weeks ago. People were just crying, like, "Man, thank you so much. You helped me this particular time way back when." And I was like, "That's a really cool feeling."
Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
And so that's what drives me still is that. But you know, looking back that long ago, yeah, just smile. The people hating on you, let them hate. Just drown out the noise. Put some positivity in your life. Stay around positive people.
Yeah.
And if you tell people all the time, your family may love you and want the best for you, but they don't always know what's best for you. My family loved and trusted me and told me to stay away from blockchain. It's a scam, just like everybody else did. But I had to circle myself around people worth so much more than my whole family combined. And I learned, and then it took them 4 or 5 years, and they're like, "All right, now teach us." They may love you, but they want to protect you, but they don't always know what's best.
Of course.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if they ever want to find me on social media, you guys can find me on Instagram, Billy Wo, BILLYWO. I'm happy to chit chat and all that good stuff, and especially when it comes to this man right here. So, he's my bodyguard.
Absolute fascinating guy. I know we're gonna need future episodes with. Oh yeah, it's like we just scratched the surface with. I know there's so many more deeper stories in it, but thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much for coming to All Hustle, baby.
All hustle, baby. All hustle. No luck.
He's an energy when he comes into the room, and I told these guys before we even started, I'm like, watch when he walks in here. You guys are gonna feel a shift.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Exactly what happened.
I said, "Oh shit, we are doing a podcast." Terrain was right. I thought we just come out. I couldn't remember. I was like, brought my computer here. I was like, all right, what do we got to do? I couldn't remember. I've got so much stuff going on. I love coming in and spreading the word, because I could tell. I'll tell all you guys. If you don't know what blockchain is, that's okay. If you don't know somebody that's impacted, that's okay too. But I will tell you, somebody in your family, within 5 degrees of separation, is going to do extremely well. But make sure that you find a mentor, somebody can help you. Some of my biggest haters, not biggest haters, but some of the guys hate on me, or females that hated on me the most in Tampa now are now my clients too. I had this lady just talk shit about me. And then one day, about like 2 years ago, she slid in my DMs. I've been in the space now 12 years. So I was in it, and she said, "Hey, can you teach me a little bit more about this? I've seen you've done really well." I was like, "Oh, you talking about the 25 million I've made?" "Oh no, I've done okay, but I mean," and I was like, "You remember you hated on me so much?" She goes, "Yeah, about that. I probably shouldn't have came across that way." And I'm like,
25 million will do that to you.
"Yeah,
25 million will make
yeah."
it.
I mean, that was a baby step one,
Yeah.
but now I'm doing a little bit better than that. And so I said, listen, I have no hard feeling, and I still help her. I love helping people, but it's the same token. Stop picking on people. These nerds at the end of the day grow up to be
Exactly.
guys that you want in your corner. And I was never a studious person, but I'm always a hustler, and it's hard to outwork me in this space, because I love what I do, and I love how it's changing people. And one day you'll be staying in a hotel of mine like this, right?
Of course.
We didn't talk about that, so be careful.
100%. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you, brother.